Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, and entertainment. And we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a hell of a show for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you want our full podcast, we have pinned in the comments below. Let me get into this topic here. As you guys know, Stephen A. Smith is the face of ESPN. He's certainly the most outspoken personality at the network. And with that comes a lot of loud opinions, which from time to time begin to irk a lot of people out there. One of the biggest critiques of Stephen A. Smith from his critics, the people that criticize him he always speaks in a way that kind of degrades African-American athletes, right? And a lot of people have taken issue with the way he goes about his business. The most recent case was the way he was talking about the Pelicans, Zion Williams, when the team had been playing well, and then he got up there. He's like, Zion, talking about cheeseburgers and hamburgers and all of that. It was funny to some, but at the same time, it turned off other people. Now, I heard it. Did I have a reaction? No, I think my reaction at the time when I heard it was, man, like I just shook my head. I was just like, man, wow, that's pretty wild. But it seems like other people out there had a totally different opinion. It felt like what Stephen A. Smith said struck a chord with other people more than it did with me. And one of those people was former NBA player Stephon Marbury. Now, if you don't know who Stefan Marberry is, I don't really know what to tell you. Just go do your research. Excellent point guard from New York. But him and Stephen A. Smith have had their battles over the years, and he is not a fan of Stephen A. Smith whatsoever. And he has made his opinions on Stephen A. Smith crystal clear, and Stephen A. Smith has done the same towards Stephon Marbury. So after Stephen A. Smith went out there and said those statements, and by the way, it's not just Stephon Marbury that felt away. Antonio Daniels, who calls the games for the New Orleans Pelicans, he also went on the Odd Couple. He called out Stephen A. Smith, the New Orleans Pelicans organization. They also called out Stephen A. Smith. But recently, I came across a clip of Stephon Marbury responding to Stephen A. Smith's disrespectful coverage of NBA players, especially after his Zion Williamson comments. And that's really what we want to anchor in on today. But before we even get into that, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is really simple. Instead of just selecting a team, you just select two or more players, pick more or less their projected stats, and then you place your entry. For example, this week, I'm selecting two entries. Stephen Curry for more than 25 points, and then I got Anthony Davis for more than 2 blocks, and Damian Lillard for more than 4 3-pointers made. PrizePicks is also the only daily sports platform with an injury insurance policy. So for example, if you have a player who gets injured in the first half and doesn't return to the second half, that player gets automatically rebooted. What I also love about PrizePicks is that it offers weekly promotions like Taco Tuesdays. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit matchup up to $100. That's go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. And once again, once you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is we want to get into exactly what Stephon Marbury had to say here, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this show. Take a listen to what Stephon Marbury had to say in response to Stephen A. Smith.
Now, I know you take a payment. I got that. And it's understandable. But when you sit and you talk about these black brothers the way that you do, when you speak and you talk about Kyrie the way that you talk about him, I wonder why. Why is it that you do this to them? Because they are strong black and they stand on their own 2 feet and they do not care about what others say. It's wrong. When are we going to defund his voice? When are we going to defund his voice? When are we going to stop this person who has been giving the opportunity to speak and talk to the culture for people to make an objective opinion about what they hear based upon what this guy is saying? When are we going to defund Stephen A. Voice, Stephen A. Stiff? When are we going to do that? When is that going to happen? Because this guy has 1.5. That's your new nickname. You play basketball 1.5. You shouldn't even have the voice to speak about basketball. You shouldn't even, when you speak, you should say, it's what I think. That's what you should say. That's what you should say. You should say, it's what I think when I'm talking about what it is that I'm seeing on TV. When are we going to defund Stephen A. Stiff Voice? When is that going to happen? When is that going to happen? I'm so sick and tired of hearing you speak and talk about these black brothers who are trying to do something for their families. They have children and you are trying to make them look like... Why? Why do you want to paint this picture of them? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to make them look bad? I thought that you were supposed to be the voice of reason for us. You're not. I'm not even going to speak about and talk about what you talk about with the others. I'm not even going to speak and talk about that. When are you going to stand up for us for real? When are you going to do it? You constantly degrade and you pick and you choose who. Is it because they give you rights? Because they give you privilege? Is it because they tell you what is going to be the teaser for the day? You're not going to pick on Zion. You're not going to pick on Kyrie. Not while I'm living and breathing on this earth.
So you heard what Stefan Marberry had to say. Stefan Marberry, there are a lot of people that concur with him. Kwame Brown and others. They're not fans of Stephen A. Smith and his coverage. But listen, this is how he does things. I think the way it works is Stephen A. Smith understands that there's a burden to deliver on ESPN. As I said before, and I'm going to say it again, he is the face of that network. So I feel like every time he comes on television, he feels like he has to knock out every single segment. And by doing so, I believe sometimes he ends up doing some of these things. Now, I think here's the issue that some people may take with him. Sometimes he crosses the line. And even though he does cross the line, what he usually does is then double down. He will know that he went too far and then come on his show and say, I'm not taking back a single word. I meant every single. That's what annoys people, because it makes people feel like, hey, wait a minute. Everything you say and do is 100% correct. Every action you take is 100% correct. And I think that's where people push back, with Stephen A. Smith at times. They're like, bro, you're not 100% right about every single thing that you do. So for you to be taking this position like, oh, I'm not wrong and this, but that's the way that he does it. This has kind of been his mode of operation. Stephen A. Smith is a very disrespectful dude. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Stephen A. Smith only respects two things based on my observations from him from afar. I don't care to meet most of these people, but based on what I have observed from afar, Stephen A. Smith respects authority and he respects money and status. If he believes you have those three things, he will do that. But if he feels you don't have those two, he's going to disrespect you. I've heard the way he talked about Dwight Howard. I've heard the way he's talked about Lamar Odom. I've heard the way he's talked about Stephon Marbury. I've heard the way he's talked about other people it's nothing new. You heard the Shohei Ohtani comments. You heard the Nigerian players. This is not the first time. You saw the way he talked to Max Kellerman on television. That was supposed to be his counterpart. A grown man with kids. Just imagine. That's how he was talking to Max Kellerman. So nothing here surprises me at all. Nothing here really surprises me. Now, do I think that Stephon Marbury's comments are going to bring about change? No. Two reasons. Number one, people love to be entertained. And number two, people are forgetful. People may get upset for the moment and then forget about it when something entertaining comes on. That's just the way people are. People would rather be entertained than go out here and boycott and do all of that. I sincerely doubt that happening. These are just my thoughts. So what I want to know from you guys is simply this. What do you think about what Stefan Marberry had to say with Stephen A. Smith? Do you agree with his views? Do you disagree with his views? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you guys on the next show. Peace.